Welcome to another episode of Earth Magic Tree Keeper podcast. I'm your host, Camilla Blossom. So, honoring the earth and tree mysteries. Take a moment with me to remember and feel your connection with the grandmothers, the ancient trees, and Mother Earth's love. Let us attune to the spirit of the trees, the fairies and elementals, ancestors and ancient ones. Be inspired by intimate stories of spiritual earth initiation, tree spirit medicine, magical journeys, special guests, and energetic light weavings of co-creative intuitive relationships with the seen and unseen realms of nature. For over 35 years, I've been walking a magical fairy shamanism path to awaken and embody the consciousness of Mother Earth. I'm a spiritual mentor and guide, land alchemist, medicine woman, soul midwife, and author of Sacred Spirits of Gaia, co-creating a new earth with fairies, elementals, ancestors, and spirits of land. Welcome. And I have a very special guest who I'm super excited to introduce. This is Coleen Douglas, and she lives in the Santa Cruz area. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her now, and then we're going to go into some lovely conversations about her path, about her awakening more to the spirits of nature and the land, to her work with the redwoods and her sharing there, which is very special connection, and also her beautiful book, which is called Nature Spirits Want to Talk with Us, Listening Journeys in the More-Than-Human World. And so we're going to dive into all sorts of wonderful conversations. So stay for the end to get all of that good juju from our conversation today. And it feels like a perfect timing for us to all have chances to sink deeper into nature and being with the trees and the elementals, because we're in a time where it is challenging to see what's going on in the world. It's very hard. It's creating a lot of grief and despair. And so I think conversations and connections like this can really lift our spirits and bring us into that more delightful, joyful, playful, and meaningful purpose. So with that, Coleen Douglas is a nature lover who has spent a decade learning to communicate with the nature spirits. She is a nature guide, a Redwood RX instructor who takes individuals and organizational teams into the forest to tune in to the subtle realms of the redwoods. Coleen earned her BA in biology and an MA in organizational development before learning to interact on an intuitive level. Also, she's a beautiful singer and a song leader. She uses her voice to touch human hearts and to connect with nature spirits. So grateful. She's grateful to continue learning about Indigenous wisdom and the practices of ecosystem restoration and knowing how to work with the regenerative aspect of the natural world. And we'll share information for you to get in touch with her and check out her Redwood experiences if you want to go on one with her, and buy her book and all that good stuff. We'll share later, and her link is her name, Coleen Douglas, which is COLEENDOULGLAS.com. And we'll have that below. I butchered her a little bit, but got the idea of it. And actually your name is up here, so
Sure.
They'll find you. We'll find you.
Yeah.
And just to introduce, I just want to point out my screen in the back is a location that Coleen took me to in the Redwoods near her home. And we got to connect with them and plant some crystals there and tune in together. And it was just a really lovely experience. So,
So good to have you here in Santa Cruz too. Yeah.
yeah, that was a really fun trip. I
Mhm.
went and did a book reading and a class, a workshop, and we explored the redwoods together. Um, yeah, it was
Mhm.
very fun. So, yeah, there's lots to talk about. I'd love to maybe start with kind of your backstory and then your movement into, like you shared, your more scientific type basis or the kind of training you've had, and then your movement into more intuitive and connection with the subtle realms with nature. And so I think people love to hear, like, well, how did that work? How did you open to that? So anything you want to share
Yeah.
that story, feel free.
Yeah. So I came to Santa Cruz to go to UC Santa Cruz, which is built in the Redwoods. And this was, I'm 18 years old, coming to college, and I was studying biology and science. That was really my interest. Um, and really have that kind of a mindset just as part of my training, that there's proof, you do things, you can see them, you prove them, that whole thing. And I really loved the part where you um, think of a hypothesis and then you set out, well, how do I create an experiment to prove that hypothesis? But it was really the hypothesis part that was my favorite part. And I would just go into nature because most of my stuff is biology, marine biology, as well as being in the forest, because there I was every day walking to walking to classes and everything. And just noticing what's around, who are these plants? What animals are there? What birds are singing here in the forest? Just leaning against the trees and just being there and noticing what's around. I loved that aspect to it. And when I think back on I was just talking about the hypothesis, the question, part of me thinks, oh, who am I getting this question from? Is this question just my thoughts? That's what we're taught. But at this point, after connecting with nature spirits, I'm thinking, could be something else there. But at the time, that never had occurred to me. Um, and then I began to question some of the science when I took physics and found out that the observer determines the outcome of many experiments, like whether a photon is seen as a wave or whether it's seen as a particle. It seems to depend on what the observer sees through the machinery. And I thought, okay, so it's the human aspect that is so key to this so-called proof. And it could go either way, depending on what human was looking. So that really gave me some questioning about the, you know, about science. And that was in my last year in school. So I ended up working in marine biology. I thought that was great. I could, be with animals, marine animals, and see what was going on. I worked a lot in the intertidal zone on the shore. And what I ended up doing, the divers would go and collect animals, collect samples, and then bring that home to the lab. So, and I would be one of the people identifying what was collected in certain places. Well, in order to do that, these creatures have to be dead. And I thought, after a while doing that, plus then you're just, it was old times and this place was not set up totally according to the rules. And I'd be over formaldehyde or alcohol looking through a microscope at these creatures and trying to, identify them. And then I said, okay, there must be something better that I can do that's actually with live animals. The whole thought of how they were having to prove what was going on was too much. And so I got to go out on a boat for sampling. And I thought, great. Then I found out as we were stopped and sampling that I get seasick. So that didn't work either. So the whole thing, there were these different signs in that way. Um, So, but my science background, I really felt that thing, when I look at healthcare, what is proven, all that kind of thing. And then got a little more into herbal medicine that maybe wasn't proven in that same way, and a little bit more open. And then when I started going into the forest with my friend Donnie, Donnie Pappas, we were at a spiritual center together. I'd moved in that direction, and we started walking in the woods because we both loved it. And we have redwoods all over here in Santa Cruz County, and we love to walk in the redwoods. And so I love to like see what was there and look at, oh, this is how the trees are multiplying. They're making this ring. And she said, oh, the fairy ring? Why, yes, it is called a fairy ring, isn't it? And how they, create new beings from their own roots when the mama dies. And this is really one of the most common ways that redwoods reproduce themselves, as well as through seeds, but mostly you find through the roots and burls. That's what they're doing. So we're going into the forest again and again, and then one day she says to me, "Oh, let's ask permission of the beings to touch their leaves." And I said, "Okay, ask permission?" And she was like, yes, yes, because they are alive. They are alive. And this is what we do. What's what I do here in the forest. So I learned about asking permission and waiting and feeling for an answer. And then when it feels okay to go ahead, and she says, yeah, touch these leaves. Let's just like a massage, touch these beautiful leaves, smell them. We're bringing this being into our bodies this way and into relationship in this way. And I'm like, oh, okay, sounds good. It's interesting, a lot going on, but I'm like, all right. And then one day she goes, did you know you can ask for messages from the trees? And I said, really? You can ask for a message? And she goes, oh, yes. Oh, yes. So we'll sit down here. We'll lay down here in this fairy ring, put our hands on the earth, relax our bodies, send out our love to the beings, to the trees, so that they know we are of a good heart and we want to connect with them and they will want to connect with us. And then just ask for if they have a message today for you, for myself. And I did that. And the first time I did that, the message was the word flow. And I was like, that's what came into my mind. And I thought, did I really hear that? Was that, did I just make that up? You know? And she's like, no, I don't think so. I think that's probably real. And then over time, I didn't really get what that meant. Is it because I'm hearing the creek down below where I am? Is it that it's flowing by me? Is that why I heard it? Not really as open to believing that could actually happen to me. But very soon thereafter, I realized, oh, this is a message. I got that message more than once. And this is a message for me to flow in my life, to be able to move ahead in different ways that are going to take me to the right location, to the right spot where I belong in my life. And that was accompanied with the message of allow, allow. It's like allow. Oh, basically allow your mind to open, Coleen. Allow this possibility to be in your heart, in your mind, and see what happens. And so, thanks to Donnie and our connection with the redwoods and being in the forest together, it really shifted my approach.
Beautiful. I love that um, story because I think it really helps people see how you can move in that direction in just simple ways, like how that opened for you,
Mhm.
shifting into listening, shifting into more connecting with the spirit. Um, yeah, and also those messages, I get those quite a bit as well, working with the trees. And as an example, it was kind of funny one. I was out with the Pacific yew tree here in Washington State, kind of preparing for a workshop I was hosting. And so I had been sitting with this yew tree, and then you have to kind of scramble through the forest to get back on the trail. It's right off the Pacific Crest Trail. And as I came out of the forest, I kind of flung out like and started falling. And then I'm like, whoa. And then I just like, oh my God, I just have to let myself fall. And so I just fell on my knees. And my friend saw the whole thing. We were kind of laughing. She goes, are you okay? You look like you really hurt yourself. I said, no. And then I realized it was that message from the tree, like very somatically, my
Uh-huh.
body, right? Like, um, let yourself fall. Like, how when you fall, if you just go with it, you usually don't hurt yourself. But if you brace and go, oh my God, no. So it just reminded me when you were saying allowing,
Ah, yeah.
right? And so it was such a good message from that tree of, yeah, surrender, right? Like let go. And even when we're falling or going through something hard.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So do you want to, I know you and Donnie are kind of working together in the Redwoods and taking groups of people, and anyone's welcome to sign up and do that with you. So it might be fun to hear like the progression of working with you,
Yeah.
working the two of you, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after a while, I mean, we would just go out in the forest together a lot. And then after a little while, once I was more open to connecting, we were there one day and in a little sacred, secluded spot that feels very safe to me, and that no one's going to find us or bother us or care what we're doing or whatever. That's just, I needed that sense of safety. And we're going really deep and really feeling into the trees in a really deep way. And all of a sudden, this message came through which was take people back to nature and bring nature back to people. That was the message.
I'm getting all these chills just as you say it, like that, truth chill. So I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, take people into nature and bring nature back to people. And I'm getting chills too. It was a directive. It was a directive. And at this point, it feels like my calling. It feels like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so we would talk and, how are we going to do this? Yeah, we can take, this was maybe 8 years ago or something like that. And um, there were not very many venues for this kind of thing. Oh, we can try and, publicize that we are nature guides and do this. And so she said, okay, well, let's just pretend that that's what we're doing and start going into the forest that way and see what the redwood forest has to tell us about what we're to be doing. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, good plan. Ask the forest. And really what came forth was a deep connection using all of our senses. She'd been showing me over the years some of these same things, like I had just talked about, which is asking permission, sending love, um, touching with our hands and smelling, um, seeing with our vision, hearing with our ears, feeling with our bodies. How do we do this kind of thing with other people who aren't used to it?
Mhm.
And and it really became clear that the whole time was a blending of who we were together, us two, because people are coming in who may know nothing about this, right? They're just expecting to go for a walk in the woods. And we're going to do this deep connection thing. And, so I could use my own sense of doubts to figure out what ways might flow more easily for them. Oh, flow more easily for them to do this. And and then we both, of course, bring all our knowledge to it.
Mhm.
Science knowledge. Donnie knows a lot about plants, the
Mhm.
mystical, my learning process. Um, and then we decided, my son actually suggested this. I said, oh, Airbnb has rentals, but they also want people to do experiences with something that's sort of classic for your area. And so we thought, and he thought, this, you guys might want to do this. So that's what we first created, was an Airbnb experience called Tune In to Subtle Realms of Redwoods. And would describe what we're doing. But again, as people signed up and came with us, many times they really thought they were going for a hike in the redwoods. And most of the time they were okay with what we were doing too, because we would explain it right away.
Yeah.
We'd start slow. Um, especially the doubters, I'm like, okay, I'll do some science with them. They'll like that. I'm going to do that right now here. One of the things that I love doing there is the element of air.
Mhm.
So we stand and we're up above the forest somewhat, we're looking over where we're going to be. And I say, okay, now let's take a deep breath of this clean forest air. Let's let it into our bodies. We
Mhm.
take a breath. Okay, with every breath, these trees and plants right around us, yes, all green plants in the world, but these trees and plants right around us have just produce the oxygen that we're taking into our bodies right now. It only takes 1 minute for that oxygen to go throughout our entire body, through our blood system. And then we breathe out carbon dioxide, which the plants need for this process of photosynthesis that creates their food. And then they even send out 20% of it to the mycelial network underneath, who brings them nutrients, and it feeds them as well. So everything is interconnected in the forest, and we are interconnected with the plants in this way, molecularly even, with every breath we take. So now let's breathe, considering that truth. Take a deep breath. Feel that air coming in, going throughout your whole body from these plants right with us right now. An out breath, just what they need for their life as well. Interconnected completely with every breath, anywhere we are. We say thank you. Thank you to all the green plants, to these redwoods right here.
It's so simple, isn't it? To that breath. And I have my grandmother maple tree or big leaf maple right out here, and I'm just breathing with her as you're sharing. So like anywhere you are, we can be doing that with the trees and the breath, of course, as people are noticing in the breath work modalities and such, how powerful that is to shift our consciousness. So I love how you're taking like a sort of sciencey thing, but it's consciousness. It's the same, right?
Right.
Whether you use the words or not, it's the experience of what you feel, right?
It is. It is. And people can feel that differently than that other breath they just took before they knew
Yeah,
to focus in that way. And
yeah,
so it's great for a beginning way to
yeah.
connect that feels safe and trusted.
And I'm curious if you'd like share, I just love hearing experiences of like special experiences people have had going on these journeys with the two of you into the redwoods.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's certain stories from those experiences of what people have felt or, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
had shifts, or I'm sure that I know you've had a lot of that. We've kind of talked about that, but if there's anything that comes to mind or
Well,
a
one of
common
the,
theme of it even. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, first off, people feel completely different when they come out.
Yeah.
And even people who were so doubtful at the beginning, they really have no idea what is going to be happening to it. There was this man and his son came, and his wife had made the reservation for them to come to connect with each other and to be in the forest. And they were both like really in their mental mind. The kid was an amazing history, knowledge kid. The father was a science guy, really. So I was like, science, 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 mixed in, mixed in, mixed in. And by the end, number one, those two felt so close to each other, felt so much closer to each other because of, we send our love out and, all these things, and they could drop some of what they know is true and
Mhm.
try to experience together something else. We have them lay down in the fairy ring together and bring them on a sensory journey of meditation and ask for messages from the trees themselves. And they were, before when we would mention this kind of thing, they were like, oh,
Right.
eye rolling and like all
Yeah.
that. But by the time we got there and down the trail to get there, they're at, well, what is this plant? And we could say, one of us would know and the details, and they could tell us what they knew, and awesome. But what I love is the shift in them, the opening, and their connection to each other. And when their wife, who made the reservation, got the request to do a review, she said, this was so amazing. My husband and my son came back connected in such a different way. I just love that.
Yeah.
And then another time, just another kind of thing was a woman came solo, and we took her into the forest. And when we got to the fairy ring, which is where we spend a fair amount of time connecting in, she was like, I feel my ancestors here. I
Mhm.
feel my ancestors. And she was wanting us to assist her to go deeper in that way. I do energy healing. Donnie does healing, different modalities too. She said yes. And so we worked with her, and her grandmother came, and her grandmother had died when she was 5. I believe it's 5. And the house, she died in the house, and then no one would talk about it anymore with her. She was an amazing healer from West Africa and just a magical person, but the family would not engage and talk about her anymore. And so she connected in so, so deeply. And her grandmother said, you are a healer. You
Um,
are the same as me. You carry the same gift. And just know that I am here assisting you the whole time. And it was so emotional, just a lot of tears of joy and sadness at the same time. So, you just never know what's going to happen. You never know who is going to come in with you and what they'll be bringing forth. They may not know, they may know, but they may not know at
yeah.
all. And so it's really an exciting time always because it's the
Yeah.
unknown happening.
Just let go and allow, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you go and allow. Yeah.
I'm curious too. Yeah, it's just so beautiful and um yeah, mirrors a lot of those of us who do this work with trees and going deeper and having visions or messages or just receiving the healing. Um, I also noticed that you did a ceremony, and this has been coming up lately, and I wanted to ask you like a little bit about that experience before we get more into your book. Because I kind of was using that phrase tree grief and realizing like these last few months, there's been a lot of grief. And I think a lot of people have been feeling grief. And I know it's for different reasons, but some of it for me was because I work so deeply with trees, like was tree grief, and it felt very ancestral. It felt like in my lineage, there were these experiences of this. The trees were our temples, they were our places of devotion, they were um, our god representatives of a god or a goddess figure in the past, and we lost a lot of those. A lot of those were cut,
Mm-hmm.
or even trees like in my lifetime, or clear cuts that have happened so
Yes.
much, or in the Amazon, whatever. So I've been working with my mystery school group and working a bit with the tree grief. Like, what is that? How can we go deeper and work with trees to maybe have more understanding of ways we can approach grief, even all of our different kinds of grief? And I know you did a ceremony in the Redwoods like a grieving ceremony, and I'm like, oh, I want to know about this. So if there's anything you wanted to share.
Yeah, yeah. This was through the Redwood RX program, Redwood prescription, which is a new going out in nature is actually being prescribed by some doctors now. And it's starting in the US. It's happened in Japan, China, and other locations, Canada, beginning here. So we're part of that program that's a wellness-based program. So yes, we did grieving with the redwoods at Big Basin.
Mhm.
And we took 8 people out and we connect with the redwoods. We had pairs connect with each other first to just have one person they could talk with about what their grief was that they were bringing, that they wanted to be with in the redwood forest, rather than like a whole group thing where everyone is part of it. So it got personal for them. And then they were connected during the whole journey too, which was really nice, um, and gives that safety right away. Then we would go when we went, this was at Big Basin, which had been burned 5 years ago during a huge fire where there were thousands of lightning strikes and the whole place burned.
Got it.
Redwoods are amazingly resilient to fire. They have a very thick outer bark that has a lot of tannins in it, and this is fire resistant, keeping it from getting into the part below, which is the life-giving, the xylem and phloem and the inner part of the tree. So the trees are burned, at least the whole part way up, the whole way up. The redwoods are burned. The Douglas fir, who usually accompany them in the forest before, were gone. There might have
Mm.
been one or two, but the redwoods were 97% still there because of the fire connection that they're so resilient to fire.
Yeah.
So one thing we did was with the redwoods, the burned one at the beginning, we did what we called sacred charring, where we would touch the burned area and get charcoal from the tree on our finger. And then we did it in pairs. So each
Yeah.
person would char each other's forehead to have the personal fabric of the burned trees within them.
Wow. Can feel
Yeah.
chills with that one too. That's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. And if you're in a redwood forest, you're going to see some charred trees, period,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's happened over time, over millennia, forest fires there. And then when we got to a big ring of trees and we had an altar there, people shared what was going on. That was really powerful for them and the altar items. And then we did a meditation. We had some drumming and music for them to just let it go into the mama,
Yeah.
into the mama. So each had their own little space on a sarong, and we led that kind of a ceremony. And really, that's
I
that's
love
what we did.
that.
And then we
Yeah.
all came back together and we talked about it. Those who wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Thanks for
beautiful.
sharing that. It's so beautiful. I think it can give people ideas that are watching this too,
Yeah, you know.
ways to deal with their grief. Because, a lot of people are like, oh, it's clear cut, and they're holding this intense grief.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's not going to help anybody.
yeah. Um, Yeah, the redwoods and the forest is just a great place to connect. I'd really like to connect with a poem I wrote about
Yeah,
this.
I'm feeling that too. That would
Right.
be beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The forest is my sacred place, She holds me when I'm blue. I see her beauty, I feel her grace, and I come away renewed, come away renewed. Sacred forest, you call me to be with you, to breathe deep, to open my heart, to receive your love, to give my love, to breathe deep again, to remember who I am. Remember, remember. I am so much more than flesh and bones. I am one with the interconnectedness of all life. I am we. We are we. We are sacred together. In the burned redwood forest of Big Basin, together we touch the charred trunk and roots of the fallen redwood. Our fingers hold the blackened remains of your redwood body. In sacred moment, I press my finger to my third eye. You are in my pores, visible on my skin. Sacred charring connects us in a new way, a deep way. Together we move to the standing redwood, trunk burned but fully alive. New green growth sprouting from burned branches. New babies now 12 feet tall, growing from your roots. We see vertical slashes of reddish brown on your trunk. 5 years after the fire, your trunk still grows and expands, pulling apart your blackened outer skin, revealing the new trunk of red wood growing in full health underneath. We touch your new red wood with loving affection and awe. I close my eyes and breathe deeply, open myself to the messages from the forest. I give great gratitude for this connection. Our energies blending together, tree and me. The light of the sacred pours in and out, surrounding us in love. The forest is my sacred place. I'm filled with gratitude for your wisdom, your sweet embrace. And I come away renewed, come away renewed. And I come away renewed. Come away renewed. Hmm. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. So beautiful. It's nice to sink in a little deeper.
Yeah.
Song and poetry and
You know, that song I wrote, Sacred Forest, and you heard the
mhm,
first and last verse. And I sing that as we're going into the forest with our guests. So I
mhm.
sing us into the forest with that song. And it really mirrors our whole journey together. It was based on that, our journey
Yeah.
into the redwoods. So I love to be able to sing in the forest. And it really reminds me that one of the big lessons to me is to give our gifts. Whatever our authentic gifts are, giving our gifts is what we are here to be doing. And it brings us in connection with people, whoever we're giving our gifts with, whether it's music, whether it's cooking, whether it's just talking and connection, whether it's whatever it is. That's been a big part of my learning on this whole journey.
Mhm.
What am I here for? I'm here
Yeah.
to give these
Yeah.
gifts. And when I do that, and I'm doing it in the forest and bringing people to nature and nature back to people, then I do come away renewed. And
Yeah.
in these times, to me, this is what we all need to also be doing, whether we're protesting or whatever. We also need to give our gifts and um, feel that connection with the natural world.
Beautifully said. Yes.
Thanks.
So, um, well, Colleen and I met at the Fairy and Human Relations Congress and had a kind of instant connection. Um, and that's a space where there's a lot of people who are open to this and learning and sharing and bringing that wisdom forward. And so you actually interviewed me there along with a lot of other wisdom keepers and people who are working this way. And maybe you can share a little how that grew into this beautiful book.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it, I thought there was a secret that all the people who could communicate with nature knew that I didn't know, and that I needed, if I learned that secret that everybody else knows, then it would just be easy for me rather than this challenging, is this real, blah, blah, blah kind of way. And so at Fairy Congress, I interviewed Camilla and others to see how they communicate with nature, just waiting for that secret way that is the way. And what I discovered was there is no secret way. Everybody does it their own way. And, in hindsight, it's like, okay, that makes total sense, right? Everyone feels differently. They are attracted to different aspects of nature, and it will come in a different way. It'll come in your way, whatever your way is, whether it's, you know, visual or hearing or telepathic, everything appears all at once, or the wind will bring your message. It can be so many different ways. And, the other thing that uh, preceded those interviews
Mhm.
was I first met you in 2022, I believe, at Fairy Congress, and then you were offering your year-long Gateway to Gaia class
Okay.
online. And I took that class, and that itself really opened me to allow me to be able to come forth and realize, oh, I need to let people know my journey. There's something important there.
Mhm.
And so I just want to say this class was amazing with women and men all from all over on Zoom, and we each doing things in our own environments. But I just want to tell one story about that, which
Yeah.
is one time we were talking about all kinds of nature spirits, right? And one time we were talking about gnomes. And I'm like, okay, I know nothing about gnomes. And Camille said, fine, we're all going to do this together. And so Camilla taught us the gnome dance. And we all did the gnome dance together. And you're like, you're stepping very hard and, making some noise and maybe shaking some noisemaker and acting sort of silly and everything. And then we would stop and imagine our gnome. And so I imagined my gnome. My gnome had boots and a red hat. And at first I was like a green vest. And I got the clear message, no, red vest. So red vest, yes, okay, okay. Red vest, yeah. And then I'm shining his boots. I'm shining his boots. And I look up at his face and he says to me, "You have a big nose." And I'm like, "You have a big nose too." And we're laughing, and that was our conversation at that point. I'm like, okay, this is the message. It's playful. It's very
Right.
fun about the gnomes. Apparently, they like to have a good time, and they love it when
Oh, yeah,
kids are silly and not so serious. So the gnome dance
definitely.
was perfect for getting into that. Well, then the next day after that, I go out to my garden. I have a little gnome, 6-inch gnome statue, and I'm like, okay, I gotta, tidy that up, and I weeded around it and everything. And I look up close to the gnome. I hadn't really examined it in a lot of detail. I just put it out there.
Right.
I look up close to the gnome, and the gnome is pointing to his nose. No, really. And
And there's
I'd
a
had that
picture, a photograph of this in your book.
There is a photograph. That just is like, oh my God. And then Barbara Thomas, who really is someone I interviewed, she loves gnomes, has incredible connection. She said, when you saw that, pointing to the statue, did you know then that it was real, everything you just experienced? And I said, oh yeah. Not only was it funny, it was
Yes.
confirming.
Yeah. And I'm getting another chill, a truth chill,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah. So that's another thing that does happen. Something will occur that makes you know that that message was the total
Yes.
truth for you, and go for it with it.
Yeah. And it can be like fun, like you say, just a playful, fun thing
Yeah,
of your life that sort of brings more joy and is sort of a simple thing. And like, oh my God, that was confirmation completely that
exactly.
they're here, they're real, that I'm having this interaction and that you can trust your intuition. Like what you heard was true, right?
Exactly, exactly. Trust your intuition. Now that was hard for me.
Trust your nose.
Yeah, trust your nose.
Oh my God, I love that story.
Yeah. Well,
So,
trust your intuition became one of the key principles for
yes.
communicating with nature spirits. That's in my book. There are 8 timeless principles. And this
Mhm.
book is really for beginners, nature lovers who want to go deeper. That's who I feel like it's really for. There's a lot of us who are like that.
Mhm.
So all the information I got from the different interviewees, I just put it all together and into these 8 timeless principles. And so the first one, which I received later on, but it became number one because it's so key for those of us who are new, which is release judgment.
Mm,
Release judgment of yourself, release judgment of people who do this, release judgment that you're worried that other people are going to judge you if you do
yes.
this. I mean, that will allow the flow to occur with the communication. So release judgment. Each time I say these in the book, it talks about, possible things you might do to move that forward. And then the next one is to respect, asking permission, as we've mentioned, offerings, different kind of respect. Then love. Love is the open doorway to connection. That's for people in community, and that's for people and nature spirits as well. And love, how important that is to, that's your calling card. Look who I am. I'm authentically sending you my love, and I'm willing to receive yours in return. Love, yes. Then ask. ask. You need to ask for a message. Some people that I've worked with, they wanted to communicate but they never asked a question. They never asked for communication. And when they did that, all of a sudden,
Oh,
here it
okay.
comes. Here it comes.
Yeah.
So if you're not receiving it automatically, maybe you need to ask. And then trust your intuition when
Yeah.
the answer comes, just like you were saying, just like we were talking about. That was difficult for me, but I'm good now.
I think that's a big one for most people in our culture, right?
Yes.
We're not taught to value that aspect of ourselves.
No, we're
It's
not taught.
interesting when I was making the Columbia River Gorge flower essences
Hmm.
and doing that work, that was their key message too, that the flower essences would help people learn to trust their own intuition.
Oh,
And
that
I
makes
thought
sense.
that was interesting medicine. Like we're all kind of working on that in different ways, but it's such a key, important one, right?
It is key. I mean, we're taught to trust what the science says, for example.
Or you used to.
Yeah, but the people in this modern culture really have that
Right.
bias. And they,
Depend on what kind of science you're talking about. But yeah, I get it.
yeah, that's true. That's
Whatever science means these days.
exactly
But
right.
anyway.
That's true. Yeah, and the other one, imagine, just like Camilla
Mhm.
did with the gnome dance. Ima what Camilla said about imagine was really good for me. She said, you just imagine a fairy, you just imagine what it looks like, and that helps you to move in that direction and be
Yeah.
open to whatever. Um, yeah,
Yeah, the imagination. And I know for me doing the work over these years, um, making essences and working with all the spirits of nature, um, it really felt like that inner child, like giving permission to our inner child, to that playful, magical self that has been shut down as well. And when we use our imagination and really open, it's like we realize, oh, that is real. That's showing up in a certain way. And it's showing us that it is real. We're not making it up, because that's another leap we need to make. It's like, right?
yes.
Like if we have these experiences, even intuitive or visions or whatever, and we're like, is that real? And I went through a long time where having all these visions and experiences, and I was like, is this real? Like, is
Yeah.
this true? And then I came to a point where it was just make a decision that it is. And so
Hmm.
I think it's that trust your intuition and imagination, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
together. Those are key. Those are key.
Yeah, to really help you move forward, to not stay stuck in this way that, the culture and programming kind of wants us not to
Yeah,
open to the magic that is our birthright.
right, exactly. And then the final one is cultivate relationship.
Yes.
It's a relationship. We, everything is alive, everything is connected. And as we develop a relationship with nature spirits, and this is for people too, you cultivate a relationship over time. And then the trust is there, and then things can move forward more smoothly, more easily for you, for both of you,
Yeah.
all of us.
Yes, I love that you just created it that way. So yeah, the book, she goes through the principles, lots of stories and wisdom from all different people, and yourself. And so I highly recommend this, especially if you're wanting to open to nature communication, spirit communication, in your own way, like you say. And I always teach that too. It's not about us showing you how you have to do things. It's more giving you those principles and foundations so you can go from there and then create your own ways of connection and communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that I know that was a fun project. I was kind of watching you go through putting the book together and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so did you have another poem you wanted to share or something else?
Well,
Or some reading or any other?
yeah. Let's see. Oh, well, let's see. This one. Okay. Yeah, it's a poem that's sort of, I'd say it's includes things about my book, but it's also just sort of about the calling that brings us to nature in this way. The earth is alive, magic is afoot. The earth is alive, magic is afoot. The earth is alive, magic is afoot. Everything in nature is alive. Everything in nature is interconnected. Everything in nature has a spirit. Plants, fungi, animals, water, air, earth, fire, human beings, ancestors, love, star ancestors, nature spirits. My journeying is a beginning. I'm here to bring my full, authentic self into action, into loving action, to re enter my childhood openness and wonder, as if all the rest never slowed me down. This openness and love of life leads me into myself in a mystical way to collaborate with the interconnected realms of nature and spirits, to bring into words, song, and form what I've been feeling, what I've been experiencing, what I've been learning, that we may be exposed to new ways of living and being in this time of transition. We are singing and we are praying. We are calling a new earth. We are singing and we are praying. We are calling a new earth. We open our bodies to listen. We dream the world awake. We hold to the starlight vision. Our love is the vow we make. The timeless principles for communication with nature spirits are also the principles for being in community. Release judgment, respect, love, ask, listen, trust your intuition, imagine, cultivate relationship. In Ancestral Journey, when I asked the young man from the Douglas clan what I can do in my time to shift our separation and the destruction of nature, he said, bring people to nature and nature to people, and create community. Wise words from a timeless being. Use everything that I am to love and to bring love into human consciousness. Focus here at this time. Love is the power that unifies. Love is the open doorway for connection. Use my voice to bring this message of love, nature, and community. When you listen to the ground and you put your roots down, you can hear what she says if you're listening. When you listen to the ground and you put your roots down, you can hear what she says if you're listening. The sweet sound of the river as she moves over the stones is the same song as the blood in your body as it weaves around your bones. When you're listening. When you're listening, are you listening? Are you listening? Hmm.
Thank you so much. I remember singing that with you in the forest. And so it's fun to like share that wider too, that we can have this little forest experience even here. Yeah, and I just want to really honor you as an elder and a wisdom keeper. And I know you're an activist and just so many beautiful ways you express. And it's been such a gift to get to know you and have you in my Gateway to Gaia group, and in different ways we've gotten to know each other more through that and afterwards.
Thank you. An
And
honor and
what?
fun and a joy to be with you, Camilla.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And you know, I really think this conversation can be helpful to for those. I know there's a lot of emphasis in our culture to like, what is your purpose? What is your role? What is your mission? What are you doing? And also with a lot of the shifts we're going through of like really changing our identity, changing your work, opening more to remembering who you are. I just feel like this is really medicine for people to hear from you. Like, you don't have to do something complicated. It's just what you love in the way you love it. And that can be all different things, like
Yes,
how you are doing that in your life, or it can be focusing on, the gnomes or the rivers, or, you know, sitting in meditation with them or being an activist for them. So I don't know
yeah.
if there's something you want to share on that, and also just kind of in conclusion for our
Well,
conversation.
in these times of turmoil, um, it is key for us to, I feel, and that's been the message from the book too, to me, that your full authentic expression is needed right now. Everyone's is different. And together in community, as we build and cultivate those relationships and community to move forward toward the vision of the world that we know is possible, that we know can come. And each of us is a really important aspect of that, to bring our gifts, to bring our authentic gifts to whatever it is we're doing.
Yeah,
That's the key. That
yeah,
is the key.
yeah. I love that. Really universal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I know we could talk on and on, but I think for now that feels like we covered a lot of things and experiences and learned more about you. So thank you so much for joining here. And do you want to say like what you're kind of up to now? Besides, I know your website, you can has great information and you can buy the book. Is this on Amazon too?
It is on Amazon, and I have on my website the other sites that it's also
Different ways.
on,
Okay.
electronic. You can order it through bookstores. You just ask for it. If you use the name of the book, Nature Spirits Want to Talk with Us, that's the best way, because my name has a weird spelling and sometimes that doesn't work.
Okay. Got it.
Um, yeah, and or links on the website, ColeenDouglas.com. Um, yeah, and the other thing we're doing besides taking individuals is taking groups into
Yeah.
the forest, teams. We've taken corporate teams who are going on a retreat. We've taken nonprofit teams who are having their annual meeting and want an hour together in a different way that brings them together. And so I just want to put that forth as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I was going to ask you about it, so I'm glad you brought it forward. And so if people wanted to go with you into the Redwoods, you and Donnie,
Yes.
can they go to Airbnb? Are you still doing that?
We
And
are still doing Airbnb. Tune in to Subtle Realms of Redwoods. There's a link on my
on the
website,
website, okay.
for
Yeah,
that.
because a lot of people travel to come to the Redwoods and
Yes.
know that they can come and hang out with you and Donnie and like do an experience
Oh,
and
yeah.
talk more about this and get your book and stuff.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So yeah, it sounds like everything is right there. I did look it over and it looked really well organized. So on the website, her website.
Great. Thank
And that
you.
link will be in the notes here as well.
Perfect.
And yeah. Whoops, I have this fly that's been visiting me today. It's like keeping me
Oh,
a little like, okay.
well,
All
thank you so
right.
much, Camilla, for bringing us together in this way. And yeah, really,
It's been
really
very
fun.
sweet for me as well to reconnect and sing some songs and hear your voice, your poems, your magic. I know there's so many other ways too that Coleen is really holding strong voice that's needed for this world at this time. So thank you for being such a light at
Mm,
that time.
thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us and being part of this magic, this community that we're creating on behalf of the Earth Keepers and or Earth Magic and Tree Keepers. So
Yeah.
have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you.
Mm.